Dear first year and high school students, I have covered the simple sentence and the compound sentence. Today, the focus is on the complex sentence. I have told you earlier that a complex sentence is a very critical sentence, and we will deal with the subordinate clauses. Many kinds of subordinate clauses are there. They come under many kinds will come under subordinate clauses, and it is very critical. So first of all, you should know what is a complex sentence. A complex sentence consists of one main clause and one or more subordinate clauses. A complex sentence consists of one main clause, one principal clause, and one or more subordinate clauses. I will tell you the division of subordinate clauses. I will tell you, but serially, bit by bit, line by line, I want to discuss so that your doubt will be clear. So, again, I come to the sentence, complex sentence. You write down if possible. A complex sentence consists of one main clause and one or more subordinate clauses. I will give you one example. The example is they rested when evening came. They rested when evening came. You mark. They rested is a sentence. When evening came is also a sentence. They rested, you mark, they rested. They is the subject and rested is the predicate. And the rested is a finite verb. Rested is a finite verb which is bound by tense, number and person. And that is why it is a main clause. It is a main clause. And the second sentence, when evening came, is not a main clause. Or it is a subordinate clause, because the subordinate clause when evening came depends upon the main clause. They rested when evening came. When I say only when evening came, then the question will come, what happens? When evening came, what happened? The question will come. So that is why when evening came depends upon the main clause, that is they rested. They rested in the main clause, and when evening came is the subordinate clause. You mark. So I want to tell you that each part of the sentence contains a subject and a predicate. You mark. They rested, they is the subject and rested is the predicate. When evening came, you mark, evening is the subject, came is the predicate. In both the sentences, there are subjects and predicates. But the second sentence, since it is a subordinate clause, it will never stand by itself. The first sentence will stand by itself. They rested. That is an independent clause. But the second sentence is not independent, but that is a dependent clause. That will depend upon the first clause, the main clause. So, each part of the sentence you mark. Two sentences are there. In that larger sentence, you will find two sentences. They rested when evening came. And each, you mark, each part of the sentence is having a subject and a predicate. Each part is having a subject and a predicate. And each part is a clause, no doubt. First of all, there rested is a main clause, and when evening came is a subordinate clause. Each part is a clause. It is further noticed, it is further marked that the clause there rested, you mark. The clause there rested makes a good sense by itself. It makes a good sense by itself. That is why it is an independent clause, and hence can stand by itself. The sentence stands by itself as a complete sentence. As a complete sentence, the main clause stands by itself. It will never depend upon the subordinate clause. Subordinate clause will depend upon the main clause, you mark. And that is why it is therefore called the principal or main clause. The first sentence there rested is a principal clause or a main clause. But you come to the second sentence, when the evening came. The clause when the evening came cannot stand by itself. It has no complete meaning. Something is left. The meaning is left. The meaning is incomplete. So that is why when it is added to, when it will depend upon the main clause, it will give you the meaning, no doubt. And that is why I want to say, the clause when evening came, you mark, when evening came cannot stand by itself and make a good sense. And it is therefore called the subordinate clause or dependent clause, subordinate clause. And then I studied the main clause, and when evening came, is the dependent clause or subordinate clause. And it is therefore called a dependent, the second sentence is a dependent or a subordinate clause. A sentence like this is called a complex one. A sentence like this is called a complex one. You will easily get the meaning when the second sentence is without having any meaning. That means it will never give you a complete meaning. So at the time that sentence will depend upon the first one. And the first one is called the main clause. And when the main clause is in the second page, in the first page there is a subordinate clause, and that subordinate clause will depend upon the main clause. So dear students, a subordinate clause has a subject and a predicate. You should find a subject and also a predicate there in the subordinate clause, but the meaning is incomplete. In the subordinate clause, the meaning is incomplete. You cannot find the good sense. You cannot find a very good meaning unless that is added to the first one, the main clause, or that depends upon the main clause, or that is fully tagged to the main clause. You will never have a good sense or a complete meaning. So that is why as a complex sentence is having a main clause and also the subordinate clause, more than one subordinate clauses you will get, and these subordinate clauses will also depend upon the main clause. And the main clause will stand by itself. It has a complete sense, it has a complete meaning, good meaning, but the subordinate clause has no meaning at all unless the main clause is there. Unless the main clause is there. Since, so I will tell you the kinds, various kinds of the subordinate clauses. You write down. Number one is the noun clause. Number one is the noun clause, that is a subordinate clause. And the number two is the adjective clause, otherwise known as the relative clause. And some of the grammarians have already given their viewpoints that the relative clauses are away from the adjective clauses. They have already categorized in a different way. because in relative clauses there are two forms: defining a relative clause and also non-defining a relative clause. That will come in the course of time. That will come in the course of time. But we will go to the noun clause. You mark. Since a noun clause does the work of a noun or noun phrase, a noun clause does the work of a noun or a noun phrase. It is a complex. It is a complex sentence where you mark. Since a noun clause does the work of a noun phrase or a noun, it does the work of a noun phrase. It is a complex sentence. It can be. In which way we can say or we can distinguish that it is a noun clause. So there are different formula. There are different formula, and you have to catch hold of the formula. You have to memorize the formula, keep the formula in mind. You need to know or you need to find out what the noun clause is or where the noun clause is, which one the noun clause, and you have to find out. Since a noun clause does the work of a noun, since the noun clause does the work of a noun in a complex sentence, it can be. Since a noun clause does the work of a noun in a complex sentence. So this is the thing I want to tell you. Since a noun clause does the work of a noun, since a noun clause does the work of a noun in a complex sentence, it can be number one. You write down. It can be the subject of a verb. The subject of a verb, number one. You write down again. Number one, the subject of a verb. Number two, the object of a transitive verb. The object of a transitive verb. transitive. The object of a transitive verb. Category 2. Category number 3. The object of a preposition. The object of a preposition. The object of a preposition. Number 4. In apposition to a noun or pronoun. In apposition. apposition. You write down, I will clarify. First of all, you write down, I will also give clarification. In apposition, number 4. In apposition, apposition. In apposition to a noun or pronoun. That is category number 4. You come to division number 5. The complement of a verb of incomplete predication. The complement of a verb, the complement of a verb, the complement of a verb of incomplete predication. Incomplete predication. So I have given you the 5 categories. You write down again, and I will tell you about the noun clause. First of all, there is a noun clause. Secondly comes adjective clause or the relative clause. And thirdly comes the adverb clause. The adverb clauses are many, and relative clauses are also having 2 types: defining relative clause and non-defining relative clause, adjective clause, and also noun clause. So I am telling you about the noun clause. So since a noun clause does the work of a noun phrase or does the work of a noun, since a noun clause does the work of a noun phrase or noun in a complex sentence, it can be the subject of a verb, number 1. You see, the subject of a verb, number 2. The object of a transitive verb. The object of a transitive, I will analyze. I will never keep your doubt in you. I will never keep doubt in you. I will analyze. I will clear your doubt. Wash out your doubt. So the object of a transitive verb, number 2. And number 3, the object of a preposition. The object of a preposition. And number 4, in the opposition to a noun or pronoun. In the opposition to a noun or pronoun. And number 5 is about the complement. The complement of a verb of incomplete predication. Predicate to predication is. The complement of a verb of incomplete predication. Incomplete predication. So, I will now give you example. So, 5 examples are to be given by me to you. And example number 1, that is about the subject of a verb. That is about the subject of a verb number 1. And the sentence is, what he said was true. What he said was true. That is the subject of a verb. So, subject of a verb means was true is the subject of a verb said. Was true is the subject of a verb said, S-I-D. So, that is the subject of a verb. You come to second category, the object of a transitive verb. The object of a transitive verb, category number 7. Take the example. No one knows who he is. No one knows who he is. Knows is a transitive verb. Who he is. Who he is depends upon knows. It needs clarification. Who he is upon who he is upon knows. And that needs clarification. And the answer is that the object of a transitive verb, no one knows who he is. Knows is the transitive verb, who he is. That is the object. The object of a transitive verb. That is the object. So that is why the object of a transitive verb. Noun can be, it can be, I have told you. Since a noun clause does the work of a noun or noun phrase. In a complex sentence, it can be. Number 1 has gone, number 2 has gone, and you come to number 3. The object of a preposition. The object of a preposition. There is no meaning in what you say. So what you say has something to do with in. In is a preposition, you mark, in. There is no meaning in what you say. So what you say has something to do with in. In is the preposition here. And this is about the 3, the object of a preposition. Category number 3. There is no meaning in what you say. The object of the preposition. You come to category number 4. In the opposition to a noun or a pronoun. You take the example. In the opposition to a noun or a pronoun, the example is, it is feared that. It is feared that he will not come. You mark in the opposition to a noun or a pronoun. It is feared that. It is feared. It is feared that he will not come. He will not come. And this is about the opposition to a noun or a pronoun. It is a pronoun here. Opposition to a noun. It is feared. It is feared. It may be a noun or a pronoun, no doubt. But here, it is a pronoun. And it is feared that he will not come. And the question is, in opposition to a noun or a pronoun, you mark. In opposition to a noun or a pronoun, here it is there. And that is why it has something to do with he will not come. It is fear. It is fear. And I will analyze. And you come to the last part. The last category, that is category number 5. And category number 5 is the complement of a verb of incomplete predication. The complement of a verb of incomplete predication. The complement of a verb. Incomplete predication. The example is, my belief is that he will not come. The last example. My belief, B-L-I-F. My belief is that he will not come. My belief is that he will not come. My belief is that. Incomplete predication. incomplete predication. In that sentence, you will find incomplete predication. My belief is that you will not come. So this is about the 5 categories, and I will analyze these categories in the next class. But another thing is also there, a clause coming after construction. A clause coming after construction consisting of an intransitive verb. A clause coming after a construction consisting of an intransitive verb, particularly the verb to be. Particularly the verb to be, and an adjective does the work of a noun and is therefore treated as a noun clause. So I have already consulted the book of Wren and Martin, and there it is written in the book Wren and Martin. In other grammar books, this thing is not there. But still, I am giving you the instances. I am giving you the things narrated there in the book of Wren and Martin, high school grammar. A clause coming after the construction. A clause coming after the construction consisting of an intransitive verb, particularly the verb to be. Particularly the verb to be, and an adjective does the work of a noun and is therefore treated as a noun clause. And an adjective does the work of a noun, and an adjective does the work of a noun and is therefore treated as a noun clause. I will give you the example. The child was afraid, The child was afraid that he would fall down. The child was afraid that he would fall down. I am giving you the example. The noun clause in the sentence comes after an intransitive verb construction. The child was afraid that he would fall down. He would fall down. Here you write down the noun clause in the sentence. I am told comes after an intransitive verb construction. So that will also give rise to the noun clause. So noun clause will be like all these things I have told you. 5 categories I have given. First of all, the noun clause must be the subject of a verb, the object of a transitive verb, the object of a preposition, the opposition to a noun or a pronoun, the complement of a verb of incomplete predication. And I have given you the last one derived from the grammar book of Wren and Martin. So that is why noun clauses are introduced by conjunctions. Noun clauses are introduced by conjunctions such as that or question words, such as where, when, why, who, what, etc. or words such as if and whether. Noun clauses are introduced, you write down. Now it is very critical. Complex sentence is very critical. So the teachers who have a mastery over the English language, who have already gained their mastery over English language, do not use complex sentences. They write complex sentences, no doubt, but they use very simple sentences, because simple sentence is a very good sentence. Sometimes in complex sentences, writing or by speaking complex sentences, we commit mistakes. And that is why complex sentence is very critical. And you have to know the formula. You have to know the recipe. You have to know the norms, grammatical norms. What the complex sentence is. What the noun clause is, adjective clause is, relative clause is, and adverb clause is, conditional clause is. And you have to learn all these things. So, I am to say, noun clauses are introduced by conjunctions such as that or question words. such as where, when, why, who, what, etc. Or words such as if and whether. If and whether. If any questions, if whether comes, when there is no question word, if whether comes. All clauses formed by changing a direct speech into the indirect speech. Another example. All clauses formed by changing a direct speech into the indirect speech are noun clauses. You write down. This is a very easy formula. All clauses formed by changing a direct speech into the indirect one. Into the indirect one are indirect ones are noun clauses. I am giving you example. Direct speech. You come to direct speech. It will help you, he said to me. It will help you, he said to me. You change into indirect speech. Indirect speech is, he told me that would help me, or it would help me. He told me that would help me, or it would help me. Here we see a noun clause. That word is used. When a direct speech is changed into indirect, by the time we get a noun clause. That word is there. So I have told you earlier. Noun clauses are introduced by conjunctions such as that or question words, where, when, why, who, what, etc. If, whether, these are the things. And the first example I gave you, it will help you, he said to me. He told me that it would help me, or he told me that would help me. You come to another direct speech. He said, are you coming to the dinner? He said, are you coming to the dinner? The answer is, he asked if, he, she, I. If he or she or I, anybody. He asked if he or she or I was coming to the dinner. If or whether is there. So that is why it is a noun clause. Sometimes when a direct speech is changed into indirect speech, you will get a noun clause. So dear students, you have to know the formula and you have to write the formula when you be attentive to the video. Again I am telling that the subject of a predicate noun, since a noun clause does the work of a noun or noun phrase, since a noun clause does the work of a noun or noun phrase, in a complex sentence it can be, number one, the subject of a verb, number two, the object of a transitive verb, number three, the object of a preposition, and number four, in apposition to a noun or a pronoun, and number five, the complement of a verb of incomplete predication. And I will also tell you in the course of time, I will also tell you all these things slowly, because you don't know, slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race. And I will tell you all these things. And then in the next class, I will analyze the noun clause again, and I will shift myself to the adjective or a relative clause. The adjective or a relative clause. So complex sentence is very critical, very complex. Its name is complex. When we say the man is complex, we sometimes are puzzled. He is a complex man, very complicated man, very critical. His mind is very critical. So this is a complex sentence or critical sentence. And you have to keep many things in memory. You know, to find out which one is the noun clause, which one is the adjective clause, relative clause, or which one is the verb clause. So pointing out will never be difficult. Pointing out of all these things will never be difficult. You will never confront any difficulty. But rather, you have to see it meticulously to find out who is what. or what is what. And thank you all today. And in the next class, I will also again come to the noun clause. Then I will restrict myself to the adjective clause. Thank you all. Thank you all.